So this morning I put in your folder a quadratics cheat sheet. Okay. So this has everything you need to know about quadratics. And now, with that being said, it tells you what to do. It doesn't tell you how to do it, because you should have learned that as we go. So it starts with, if you have vertex form, if you want vertex form and you have standard form, this is how to get to it, right? So if you want vertex form, I have standard form, I need to complete the square, right? Or I could solve for zeros, then use a calculator, calculate the vertex, and find my A the same way, which is a lot more steps. If I have factored form, I need to expand the standard form, then convert to vertex form, and that's completing the square, right? Or I could do the same thing. Now, if I want standard form and I have vertex form, I need to expand. So it walks you through. It even walks you through how to graph, right? To graph, if I have vertex form, these are the steps. If I have standard form, these are the steps. If I want to find my zeros, what do I do? Well, if I have standard form, I can factor if possible or use quadratic formula, right? If I have factored form, it tells me it. Now, when I talk about factored form, I use R and S. S and T are the same thing, okay? If I want to know how many zeros there are, right? This one, I could analyze the location of the vertex and draw it and figure out the openings. Or I could use a discriminant here. Or if it's factored, it gives me the zeros. Okay, so that form, that sheet is with you, okay, in that folder. Okay. Does everyone understand where the sheet is? Yes, no? Do I have any questions about the sheet? We're going to go through some and practice moving stuff around.
Do we have a lot of work today?
No, today's actually a pretty light day.
Because I can't stay here.
Well, Colin, if you need to go have a sleep or like rest because you're sick, leave. Because I'll post because if you look here, I'll post the videos. If you go to Content Library, week 4, I'll post the videos, right, here. Yeah. And I'll post the notes that we make go here.
Okay, and will the notes be like,
yeah, the note is exactly what I write in the video. Right, so you could watch the video, and then after you watch the video, you can go back to the note, and everything I wrote, like I'm recording what I'm going to be writing.
Okay.
Okay, I need to go back and do a video from yesterday too. So. Yeah. Well, yeah, but the trig assignment should be, your trig assessment should be the easiest one, in all honesty. We'll start around, I want to say we'll start at 12:30, but be there at like 12:25. But if you're not there, Colin, that's fine.
Okay.
You can do it by yourself.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah. Okay.
Bye.
Okay.
Where are we? So we're in week 4, it's there for you. So that's what we're going to use today to go through what we're doing. Okay? Where are we here? So, right now, shoot, I want to get my other note out here. Give me 2 seconds so I can have my filled out note beside me. Alright. So, and I'm going to pull this over. Okay, so here's my question here. What form do we have right now? Can you guys tell me? Do we have standard form, factored, or Who can tell me what form we have?
Standard.
Standard, good. Now, we need to get to factored form. Okay, so how are we going to, well, let's see here. Let's do this first. Let's answer the questions we can right now. Oh my gosh, my mouse is... Actually, let's start with going to factored form. Okay. Give me 1 second here. I'm gonna plug my drawing pad straight in the computer, and hopefully that will take away some issues. Okay. So right now we have standard form. Okay. But we want factored form. So what do we have to do for this? We have to factor it if possible. Okay? So I think we can factor this, personally. So let's work with that. So I'm going to highlight this. Okay. So right now we have y equals negative 2x squared minus 4x plus 30. Now, I always hate having an a in front of here, so let's move it out. Okay? That'll give me this. Minus 15. Okay? Now, if we think back to our factoring, we need two things that multiply to make x squared, which are x and x. Now we need two things that multiply to make 15. Okay? Can someone tell me the two numbers I'm looking there? You said, pardon, what was it?
I said 5 and 3.
5 and 3? Good. Now which one's going to be positive, the 5 or the 3? Good job, Lisa. The 5's positive. And you can look because this number here is positive. Therefore, the bigger number between these two are going to be positive. And we could check it here. 5x, negative 3x, and those equal 2x. And these two equal each other. So we're good. So we're done this one. So this is it in factored. Now, you would write it a lot nicer than I'm trying to right now. Okay. So that's done. Now, let's go to vertex form. This is what we did yesterday, correct? So now, where's my mouse? So if we start here, what do we have to do first to get the vertex form? What do I hate again? I hate something in front of my x squared. So we need to factor it out. Now, do we factor it out of everything, or do we leave something out? Good, we take out negative 2, very good. Do we factor it through everything, or do I kick something out of the bracket?
30 you kick out of the bracket.
Yeah, I kick 30 out of the bracket. So that's going to give me my x squared plus 2x. And what numbers am I going to put here? What's going to be my plus, and what's going to be my minus? Not 2, 1, right? 2 divided by 2 equals 1. I'm going to put a box around that. And then 1 squared equals 1. So I'm going to add 1 and take away 1. Now I need to kick this 1 out, right? But what do I do when I kick that 1 out? I do what with it? What do I have to do is that 1 comes out of the bracket. Not switch signs, but good. Times by -2. Times -2. So my next one is going to be -2 bracket x squared plus 2x plus 1 plus 30 plus 2, which gives me -2. And what's going to go in my bracket? What's going to be my factored form of this? Can you guys tell me? What's going right here? Good. Plus 1. Good. The thing I squared up here, it goes in there. Perfect. So now we have this. So it's -2 bracket x plus 1 squared plus 32. Okay. Now, let's take a look. Direction of opening. It doesn't have direction of opening on here, but how do we know the direction of opening? Can someone tell me tell me if this opens up or opens down? Do you guys remember?
It opens down. It opens down because...
Very good, right? So I'm just going to put an arrow down here because my A value here, it's everywhere it's negative. So I'll make a new color, right? So it's negative here, it's negative here, slash here, and in my vertex form, it is also negative. So that's where that information comes from. Okay, can someone tell me my vertex for this in chat or live? And I'll pull up, where do I get my vertex from? So I want my vertex, here we go. Now I have all 3 forms, but the easiest one to get is I go to my vertex form, and it's my h and k values. Watch, Christopher, land of negative, so it'll be -1. So my vertex comes from here, which is -1 comma 32. -1 comma 32. Okay. What's my zeros? How do I find my zeros? Let's go back to my list here. I want my zeros, which are also called x-intercepts and roots. I can go to my factored form. That's my s and t value, or my r and s value. So, let me do... This here comes from here and here, which is here and here. I'll change my color again to a nice, whatever color that is. And my zeros are here and here. But what do I have to do with those zeros when they come out? I need to do what with them? Are my zeros 5 and -3? No. Reverse the sign, right? Because remember, x plus 5, I want to equal 0, so x plus 5 equals 0. Move it over, x equals -5. So -5 and, I'm going to put a slash here, and 3. Okay? Now, in case we ever run into this, what if you had bracket 2x plus 10, right? You'd make that equal to 0, then rearrange, and then divide both by 2 here. So don't just look at it and say, oh, that'd be -10. You might have to do some math with it. Okay? I'm going to erase that so it doesn't get confusing after. Now where do I get my axis of symmetry? Is that on my page? I don't know if it gives my axis of symmetry. But we know our axis of symmetry is the x component of our vertex. Okay? So our x component of our vertex is our axis of symmetry. So it's -1. And the last thing we're trying to find is our y-intercepts. And the y-intercept here, the easiest way to find it is our c value. Okay? We could, if we had this, plug in a 0 and solve for it. But it's our c value in standard form. So, it is 30. And let me change my color to this one. Okay. So those are all things. We've done everything in this unit to find these all separate. Okay, but we're just putting it all together right now. Okay? Is there anything I did that was like totally new to anyone? Or that, okay, I can kind of follow that. I have my chart here, right? I could follow how to get to from one point to the other point. Okay? The only thing that's not on this chart is our axis of symmetry, I believe. Okay? So with that being said, let's do another one. So we're going to do 3. So we're going to start with all our different forms. Okay? And then work from there. So this time we have, which form is this now? Can you tell me? Which form do we have? Perfect.
Factored form.
Now we could right away, we could ask ourselves, what can we get from factored form? Does anyone tell me what we can get from factored form? What's the first thing we can get from factored form? We could get direction, right? And then we'll come back to zeros in the chat. Those are 2 things we can get from factored form. So our leading value here is +3. So what's that tell me about the direction of opening? Is it up or down? Up. Good. Right, because it's positive. And what's our zeros in this case? Our zeros come from here. Here's 2 and 6. Good. 2 and 6. Good. So that's what we can get from this. Easily. Right? We could do some work to get other parts, but we're not going to. So, let's change it. What do you guys want to change it? Well, we have to, if we take a look here at our chart. You could, but we're going to make it into vertex form. Correct? So, if we have vertex form, the axis symmetry just jumps at us. So we don't have to solve anything for axis symmetry. Okay? But we could, hypothetically, add 2 and 6 together and divide by 2 to get our axis symmetry. You're 100% right. And it says it on our chart there too. Oh, it doesn't say axis symmetry yet. That's the only thing I'm missing. Okay, but it kind of implies it here as you go to graph it from this, right? So let's go to, can we jump straight from factored to vertex? Yes or no? What do we think? So if we want vertex, and we have factored, we need to make it in the standard form first anyways. Okay, so we can't jump straight from factored straight to vertex. We need to go to standard. So let's do that first. Find my mouse. Can someone tell me what my first step is in expanding this? What's my first step I have to do? Foil, very good. 3 stays outside. I FOIL it. Good. So I can bring my like terms together. Then I rainbow in. Oops. Why I'm putting the bracket in there again, I have no clue. Good. Now, what can I get from standard form? Can someone tell me? Okay, what's the y-intercept? 36, very good.
36.
My y-intercept comes from there. Now, I go to what color should I make this one? Oops. I put that in the wrong place, didn't I? There we go. Now we're going to go to 3x squared minus 24x plus 36. Now we're going to go to standard form. We're going to complete the square to go to vertex. So what's the first thing I have to do here? What do I need to take out of this equation to make it a little bit easier for me? Take 36 out, good, and the 3, good. So I'm going to take 3 out of the first two terms. I'm going to take the 36 out as well, good. And what's my two numbers I'm plugging in here? What's my plus and what's my minus? Oh, how'd you get 144? No, not 36. 16. 8 divided by 2 equals 4. I box that up. 4 squared equals 16. Now height there, that's negative 8. That's negative 4. And that's negative 4 there. Good. 16 and 16. So I gotta take this guy out. What happens to the 16 when I kick the negative 16 out? Because no one likes a negative Nancy. Or I guess a negative Nick as well. Okay, multiply by 3. Good. Minus, that's 48, right? Yeah. Minus 12. Good. What's going in here? What numbers are going in there? Who can tell me that? Negative 4. The number I boxed up here, right? Some people might think, like, if you can jump straight from this step to this step, that's like going from, like, writing in your pink numbers here, that's perfect. If you have to take this number divided by 2 every time, and write negative 4, that's not the worst thing in the world, because you can just box it, and then boom, when I get this step, oh, I go look up, there's my box, and I bring it in. Okay, so there's my, can I get it all in here? Oh yeah. Oops, forgot the bracket. What's my vertex in this equation? Good, 4 and, oh, this is in the land of opposites, right? So it's going to be 4 comma negative 12. Good. And what's my axis of symmetry? If we remember, the axis of symmetry is what cuts. my parabola in half. What's my axis symmetry, people? Somebody got it? Anyone? Axis symmetry is my x value here, which is 4. Good. I gotta color code that red. Oops, which one's red? Alright. Good. Thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs middle. How do we look right now? Thumbs up. Good. Right. So, giving the middle thumb, is that your driving thumb? Okay. So, let's do the very last one. So we're going to go from vertex, and we're going to solve all these things. So, first things first. What things can we pull out of vertex form to fill in our chart before we even start? Okay? What things can we pull out of this before we even start? Our vertex, good. Oh, good. So let's start with logos first, which is our vertex. So can someone tell me what my vertex is? All the way around. -3, -4. Right? Because that's in the land of opposites, it's going to switch. Good. And it also is going up, right? Because that's a positive. So the direction of opening is up. Okay, what's our last one? What's one last thing we can pull out of here? Axis symmetry. And what is that, Lago? What's our axis of symmetry? -3. Good. So it's the x value there. I'm trying to color code my answers now. Axis symmetry is -3. Good. Perfect. So that's what we can get from there. Now let's look at our chart here. Now you could also go through your chart here and say, okay, I want my vertex. Okay, I want my vertex. I have factored form. How do I do it? Right? Oh, sorry, I have vertex form. Boom, it's my H and K. Right? I don't have direction of opening on the chart, but we know that one. If you want to print out this chart and add in your direction of opening and vertex, how to find that, that'd be perfect. So now, how are we going to go from, can we go straight from vertex form to factored form? So if I want factored form, and I have vertex form, I need to convert it to standard form first. Okay? So let's go through standard form first. So I have x plus 3 squared minus 4. What's the first thing I need to do here? Good. I'm going to have to FOIL, but it's a lot easier to see the FOIL if I do this. Good. Then away I go with FOIL. X squared plus 3x plus 3x plus 9. Then you still have the minus 4 here. Then we can collect our like terms and put it all together. Get x squared plus 6x plus 5. Okay? So, what information could we get from this form? What piece of information could we get here? Y-intercept, which is
plus 5.
plus 5. Good. So I'm going to go here, here, change my color to blue, which is 5. That's not blue. Mess up my whole rotation here. Blue, blue. Now, the very last form we need, can we get zeros from this? No. So we need to factor it. Y equals x squared plus 6x plus 5. Can someone tell me what my factors are going to be here? Okay. So two things multiplied make x and x. Two things multiplied at 5, it's only 1 and 5. And we have positive numbers here, so these are both going to be positive. So, x plus 1, x plus 5. And what's my zeros going to be here? Can someone tell me my zeros? Oops. Land of opposite standard. -5 and -1. Okay. Oops, where'd my marker go? I'll write that out here, just so we get it. X plus 1 equals 0, move it over, x equals -1, and x plus 5 equals 0, move it over, -5. Now the one thing I will say, you might get a situation here. What if you can't factor this? What do you do then? What happens if you can't factor that equation? What do we do then? What happens if you can't factor this? Okay, for example, what if this was y equals 2x squared plus 6x plus 5? How would you get to how would you find your zeros without being able to factor it? Let's go look at our chart here. So we have standard form, right? You have standard form, and I want factored form. So first option is a factor. My second option is to use the quadratic formula to find my zeros. Right? Does that make sense to everybody? All right.
Yeah.
So that's all for this morning, the first lesson. Okay? Again. So this morning's homework, the homework that matches with today's lesson, actually goes to yesterday's afternoon's homework. So the very last section of yesterday afternoon's homework. Okay, you have 4 equations, and we're doing just like we did in the lesson. Okay? Yes, you do submit it for the Thursday lesson homework. So this would be included in Thursdays. But this is where I replace this with the